Hello and welcome to Let Me Be Your Game Guide, a podcast that spends each episode delving into a mystical new video game, exploring its charms and challenges, and helping you decide if it should be next on your list. I'm your host, Emma.
This is Rylan.
And this is Shawn.
Join us for this week's rating episode as we escape reality and enter the metaphysical. For the remainder of this episode, let me be your game guide.
Thought about doing Macho Man that time, but I couldn't get the voice. Oh, yeah.
Wow, it's such a weird feeling to be recording in the morning.
It's a different vibe.
It's
for
like
sure.
Chill.
Well, it sounds quieter. Is that just me?
It does. It
Yeah.
feels quieter. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
feels quieter. I don't know why.
For sure.
My mind's at peace.
Yeah.
Hi listeners. We usually record in the afternoon.
Yeah. Normally after a work day. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Maybe it's just because we have that clear head of no work and just chill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Empty brain of no thinking.
Yeah.
But we're talking about, what are we talking about, Shawn? This was your pick.
We are talking about a game called Keep Driving.
Vroom.
Ooh.
Yeah, vroom vroom. So, do you want me to describe it a little bit, or
Let me
wait?
go ahead. I'll just plug our podcast real
Yeah,
quick,
yeah.
and then you can tell us all about it.
Cool.
Real quick before we begin the episode, don't forget to give the podcast a follow, rate it, review it, however you want to show us love. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/letmebeyourgg, where you can view episodes early as they post sometime on Sunday, a couple days before the episode posts everywhere else. You can also find us on most socials as Let Me Be Your GG. That's LetMeBeyourGG with no spaces. And we're on Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Check out our Twitch on the weekends. We did not stream this weekend, but typically Rylan is streaming on Saturday mornings and I am streaming on Sunday mornings. But if you miss it, we upload everything onto our YouTube, so you can check it out afterwards on YouTube. We also live stream our video game trailer reactions. We'll take a look at the games that are next on our list, react to the trailer. That's every other Thursday. So yeah, it's a great time. You can also find us on TikTok as Let Me Be Your Game Guide with no spaces. And you can email us at letmebeyourgg@gmail.com. This is the best way to send in game requests. Just make sure you include game request in the subject line so it's easier for us to find. Yeah, I am on top of it this morning. We need to record in the morning
like
more often.
A whole one take situation.
I know.
No edits.
Shoot.
Yeah, usually I'm stumbling over my words, but it's because we've been at work all day and my brain is mush.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead, Shawn, give us a little intro as to what Keep Driving is.
Okay, so Keep Driving is a RPG survival-ish kind of game where you're a teen, a youth, and you're
A youth.
One of the youth.
yeah, and you're taking a road trip. You decided at the age of 19 you want to go on this epic road trip adventure, as all 19-year-olds do. At least I know I did at one point or another.
Yeah.
And you have no money. You have a crappy car, just like all 19-year-olds do. And you're trying to make it across to this festival where your friends are at. And you have a certain amount of time to do that. And in that time, you can drive around, have adventures, do a bunch of different things that we'll explain a little later. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It is a good one.
Yeah, this was, I would say, concept-wise, very, very cool.
Yeah, it was really interesting. Like, you don't see a game of, I mean, you'd think, oh, a game about just driving, like it's a driving sim. This is kind of lame, but they really added a lot of stuff in to make it more exciting.
Yeah, it was jam-packed with stuff, and it was very they did a good job, I think, of having different RPG elements, but tying it in with that road trip, teen theme so well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
for sure.
I was trying to think of a game that was comparable to this one. I really couldn't. I mean, I don't know. It's just so unique to me, at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Again, I was before this podcast siloed into a very specific genre of games. So for me to say I can't think of a game like this isn't saying a lot. But I really don't know if there's a game out there like this.
Not
We
that,
got our-
not that I can think of.
We just allowed our thinking faces on for a moment.
Yeah. Sorry.
But I guess if you know of a game similar to Keep Driving, if you take a look at this, email us and let us know, because I'd love to check it out.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Yeah. But let's talk a little bit about the developers real quick. Keep Driving was developed and published by YCJY Games. It's available on PC. It was originally released February 6th, 2025. So very new. And it's $17.99 when it's not on sale. YCJY Games consists of Joseph Martinovsky and Christopher Andreessen. These are our two developers. Of course, we'll link the full credits in the show notes, but these are the main guys.
Do we know what YCJ?
So
what is it?
It's YCJY.
Okay.
And their domain is actually Y spelled out WHY CJWHY. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
YCJY.
And I would assume that CJ stands for Christopher and Joseph.
Oh, that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. That
Or
does make a lot of
Joseph.
sense,
I don't know if it's Joseph or Joseph, but this is a Swedish. They're based out of Sweden. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah. And then I'm going to list out a feature of this game is you can collect songs and you can control your music throughout the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of eject a CD and then pick out a new playlist from the songs that you have. These are all real bands.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can find them on Spotify. And this was very in my genre of music. I loved almost every single one of these bands. And when I figured out they were actual bands, I was like, oh my God. I like went onto Spotify, I started looking at their music and stuff.
Yeah, I actually didn't think about that until I was getting ready to come here, and I was like, this has to be real songs, right? Because they're good.
Yeah. Well, at first I was like, gosh, like how did they get all of these, like maybe one of them is a musician and they have their own band and they kind of were just switching up the genre type a little bit. But no, these are real bands. So the bands included in this game are West Coast, Mundane, The Honey Drips, Fucking Werewolf Asso, Crystal Boys, Dorina, Asthma, Zimmer Grandioso, My Darling You, Mac Thieverskan, Holy Now, and El Huervo.
Dang, I did not get all those.
I did not
CDs.
get all of them.
Really? I think I got all of them except for... Actually, no, I think I got all of them.
Wow.
Yes, I think I got one song from... I didn't get all the songs.
Oh,
but I got
sure.
at least one song from all of them.
Nice.
Yeah, I think I only ended up with like 5 artists.
Yeah, I think
the
I was
end.
like 5 or 6, something like that. But yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely wrote down Fucking Werewolf Asso.
Yeah.
Because that, like, when you get a new disc, it like prompt, like it shows you the whole screen's covered and like, oh, new artist, this. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Fucking Werewolf Asso. What the hell is that? Like, but they're actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're from Sweden too.
I would assume that most of these artists are. I didn't
Yeah.
have time to really look into all of them. But yeah, I saw a couple were Swedish. So
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. A lot of like high energy, definitely like road trip songs.
Yeah.
So,
Solid road trip vibes. Like I would spin it for sure.
for sure. Yeah.
yeah, kind of indie, kind of like, I don't know, alt rock,
Mhm.
grungy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So very cool. There is not, or I could not find an accessibility report, so I'll be writing this one. It's a pretty simple game. This is, I think, the first game that we've played where you can play the entire thing with all mouse.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You can't play with a controller yet, but it sounds like that's on their list.
Yeah, it looks like it was coming up with a new patch. Supposed to be it's supposed to be in April, but we'll see. So
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So very good. It's still pretty new. So
Yeah.
all right. So we're gonna get into our game rating. Rylan,
What?
now what you've all been.
Now what? Damn it.
I'm sorry. I should have reminded you that I was gonna give you this response.
Now what you've all been rating for.
Let's get on to our game rating. We take into account general considerations such as length, challenge rating, and replayability. We also consider story and narrative topics, including plot, characters, and world building, presentation topics, including graphics and sound design and music, gameplay topics, including content variety and mechanics, and lastly, we consider the overall value of the game. So starting in general considerations, we're going to talk about length. I did not fully complete this game, but I played it for 9 hours. There's 9 different endings you can get.
But you got 4 endings?
And I got 4 endings. I would say that my each playthrough was between like 1 and 4 hours.
Sure.
So to do a full run, and I think that I looked that up online too, and 1 to 4 hours is the average run is between 1 and 4 hours, but I played total 9.
Yeah. And I think just not to spoil anything, but more just, I guess, to talk about the structure of that. It's like the different endings, I think, because I only did 1. It's kind of like different main goals that you can accomplish in your summer.
Yeah, you'll pick up hitchhikers that give you side quests. And those side quests can just turn into an alternate ending.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like I think you said like the first time that you entered the game, it kind of surprised you. You weren't sure.
I thought I was just doing a side quest, but it was an alternate ending. So,
yeah.
And we'll talk about the actual endings next week.
Totally. Yeah. I was just over 4 hours on mine, but I will say that I kind of had to rush to the ending. I feel like I could have played it for, I don't know, another like 3 hours before doing that ending, but I may have like you hit a side quest ending sort of thing as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and after you get your first ending, it gives you the like kind of scrapbook where it will highlight all the endings. Because when you get an ending, you get a little picture and a little summary of your trip, and then you can hover over the empty picture spaces, and then it'll have a title for that other ending.
Oh, I'm a dummy. I didn't even realize that. I was like, 9 spots, but I didn't.
Yeah, if you hover over them,
I didn't even look there. I was like, oh, there's my one. Great. All right, bye. Like,
So next week we'll talk about the endings, and I have a list of all the names, and so maybe you guys, there's a couple that I didn't. I think there's one more other than the 4 that I did that I could have completed, but I chose to do a different ending. And maybe one more. I don't know. We'll talk about it next week.
Sure.
Yeah, sounds good.
How long did it take you, Shawn?
It took me around 4 hours for my run, but admittedly, in the run, I had like more time. I could have done more things, but I had to shorten it. So 4-hour run, but you could go longer in your runs if you wanted to. So yeah.
Did you guys both just do one run?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to challenge rating. I didn't really know how to rate this challenge rating. I put it at easy. I mean, I think that there's some strategy involved.
Totally.
And a little bit of a learning curve. So I wouldn't put it at beginner. But yeah, I put it at easy.
Yeah, I'm in the same spot. I feel like at like easy/moderate, I feel like it did have a lot of like systems and little ways you could tweak your character.
Yeah.
But that being said, like I feel like the game was relatively forgiving of like mistakes and stuff, and you had a lot of opportunities. You know, if you like get bogged down, which is like, you know, you're running out of gas, you're running out of car durability, money, you have a lot of opportunities to regain that without it costing you too much.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it kind of really depends on how you set up your character too. In that beginning really kind of changes how well you're going to do. So, yeah, I would say easy as well. Ditto what you guys said. So
cool.
Yeah.
And let's talk about target audience. This area is when I usually disclose the ESRB rating. There is no ESRB rating for this game, and I did look into it a little more about why some games don't have ESRB ratings.
Oh, please learn me.
Yeah.
So I actually have an answer. So it's not legally required to have an ESRB rating. You do have to pay to have an ESRB rating. So some smaller games, they don't want to pay for that because it's not required.
Sure.
Depending on the platforms you put your game on, it will become required. So this is only on PC, so it makes sense that there's no ESRB rating.
Yeah.
But also if it's sold in stores, I believe that's a requirement. So it kind of depends on how and where you're selling your game, and kind of what platforms it's available through.
Good to know.
So, yeah, that's interesting, but it also makes sense that some of the games that we've played don't have that. So yeah.
So that's just, I figured since the last time I was like, no, I would actually do some research. So there you are.
Nice.
Yeah.
Target audience, I really think anyone could play this game. I mean, maybe older kiddos. I mean, 10, 12, around there where they can really grasp the concept of it.
Yeah, I'm thinking themes too.
I mean, I think it might depend, on what you're comfortable letting your kids play, because it's like fucking werewolf asso.
Oh yeah,
it's hilarious.
Good point. Yeah, good point.
I can't say like the content of that music, but just the name. And I know there's also like A lot of themes like with like drinking. I think you can like take mushrooms
Oh, yeah.
and like smoke a joint.
Cocaine.
Yeah. So
never mind.
Yeah.
there's some of
Scratch
that
what I
stuff
said. Maybe adult age.
I mean, I will say when I was on the Family Gaming Database, they did have a predicted ESRB rating, and they said E10 plus. So
sure.
I don't know that. I don't know. There are some adult themes in this game, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there definitely is.
And I don't think there's anything like sexual or anything. I mean, I guess it depends on what, is a taboo for your family and your values, really.
Yeah.
But there's not any violence.
No violence, but yeah, definitely some language and some adult content,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
nothing super crazy.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there was violence.
I can think of one thing that is maybe violence, but not really.
Yeah.
Which I got mugged in an alleyway,
Yeah.
but I had a
There
knife,
was-
so I was able to get by them.
Wow, nice.
dang.
But if anything, it was so abstracted, it didn't describe. Like, I don't even know if I knifed them or if I just had a knife. So they were like, okay, man, we'll leave you. Like, I don't know what happened,
Yeah.
Dang.
But I'm pretty hard. That's all.
Pretty hardcore on this road trip. Yeah,
Yeah.
dude.
Oh man. Yeah, I agree. I think that adult, someone that's wanting something a little nostalgic.
Nostalgic.
Check out the bands that I listed in the beginning. If you like that music, then I think that this will also be a very enjoyable game.
So
Because
my note for target audience, I said road trip, young college energy,
Mhm.
freedom and opportunity vibes, big summer.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
that sounds like what you're looking for. There you go.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think that's perfect. Yep. Definitely, especially as we're rolling into summer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It feels summery. Like it's nice outside.
I'm so excited for summer.
Yeah.
So beautiful. Well, let's jump into the last portion of our general consideration section, and that is replayability. Do you guys think this game is replayable?
I think it's pretty high. Yeah.
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 I mean, there's 9 different endings to get.
Yeah.
So much going on. You unlock stuff after your run throughs too. So
Yep.
Yeah. Plus, what Emma mentioned before, there's hitchhikers that you can pick up, and I only got a handful. I'm sure there's many more, and I only took one route to get to my destination. So I mean, there's different routes you can take.
Yeah.
There's different things you can find, different adventures you can go on. So yeah, I would say definitely replayable.
Yeah, I didn't look up how many hitchhikers there were, but in my 4 playthroughs, I ran into quite a few. But yeah, I would say this is totally replayable. I also see like huge DLC energy
Yes.
from this
Yeah.
game. I don't know if they plan on making DLCs, but this is something that, I mean, they could almost make an entirely different game on this concept.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's so as I was playing it, I was like, I can't wait for a DLC for this.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it'd be so fun if they're like, oh, now we're going to go to a different place, or
Oh,
you're
yeah.
going to fly to this place and do something out. Like, I don't know.
yeah, I
Just-
think the gameplay loop is just so solid, but also flexible. Like they could really easily add more content without it feeling out of place, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, so I think this is very replayable.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's move into story and narrative. This is where we start our numbered ratings. We rate things from 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. We're going to start with plot. What did you guys rate the plot?
Plot me, bro.
Okay. I gave this game a 4 for plot, even though I feel like the game doesn't really give you a plot per se. It's more just kind of like a blank canvas, and you're telling your own stories basically, and it kind of exists in your head. But I think it gives you so many tidbits and little things that happen that contribute to that. So like just like some things that happen, like you set at the beginning of the game, like you set your relationship level with your parents. Like, do you have a good relationship? Do you have a bad relationship? Somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
You choose like your car, you're starting like some of your starting equipment. And I like all of that right off the bat, like kind of tells a story, and you start to get into that role play headspace of like, who am I? Like, why am I leaving? Like, what's going on? Like, what do I want to do? You start like meeting people out there on the road. You start hearing different things like that. Mugging that I just mentioned before that.
That was intense, dude.
Like one of my hitchhikers mentioned that city, like be careful in that city. And then when I was there, I got mugged. So like there's little stories that happen throughout this game. And just, you kind of make up your own too. Like another one, that same hitchhiker, actually, one of his negative abilities was that he was creepy. So if I had any women hitchhikers in my car, the women couldn't get any experience.
Oh my God.
Oh, no.
I can't wait to hear which hitchhiker we're talking about.
So very end of my run, I did pick up a hitchhiker who was a woman, and then I started getting these events that were like hitchhiker arguments.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I don't know if that was just a coincidence or not, but in my head I'm like, oh man, like they're really going at it because he's creepy.
Yeah.
So it's like you really can start to tell your own stories and you just have fun that way. So for me, it's a 4.
Yeah, I would agree. 4 also, because there's a lot of story on that blank canvas that you can tell.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a good description of that. So ditto what Rylan said, 4 completely. That was amazing.
So I had it at a 3, but I was really stuck between a 3 and a 4, and you guys have convinced me. I'll increase it to a 4.
Yay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is like this game tells its own story like in a very unique way. I don't really know how to describe it, and I
Yeah.
think that was my I was stuck because I was like, well, there's not really like a plot that's laid out, but you're right. Like you're creating your own stories, and depending on which hitchhikers you pick up, it really just changes the way that you experience the game.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is like actually nails that theme so well too, because you're really setting out in your summer to like tell a story, like have an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you don't know what's going on. It's not like you have a schedule.
Yeah.
You know, you're just going out and finding an adventure. So it does a good job of that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really good where it's just, here's your start point, now go. And you just create it. And
Yep.
It's just so fun. Yeah.
Well, moving on to characters, where did the characters land for you guys?
I would say a 4 for me too. I really enjoyed the characters and the hitchhikers that you pick up. I don't know why I keep saying hitchhikers. Hitchhikers that you pick up. They all have different stories and they all have different things that are going on. And some of them have quests, and so you can follow up on those quests and kind of dig deeper into their lives a little bit. So that's really fun, and just seeing the different characters and stuff that you can interact with is just cool with those hitchhikers. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you get a lot of depth too with like, even though it's a very quick storyline with a lot of them, it somehow creates like an extremely deep storyline within the experience. I have no idea how.
Yeah.
I had one hitchhiker on my first playthrough that I basically I helped him with his quest, and then he just wanted to like keep hanging out.
Oh, really?
And I was like, okay.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's what
And
I had too.
They do have like little statements, like when you're driving, they're like word bubbles will pop
Yeah.
up, and they'll have like little conversations, and you'll learn the longer they're in your car, the more you'll learn about them. And I just thought it was really cool. So I gave that a 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a 3 for me. I feel like I didn't have any hitchhiker missions that I completed. They were just along for the ride. Sorry, buddy. I know you're trying to get to the right, but I'm going left.
Yeah.
I just want your abilities, man. So I didn't really experience like anybody's full story, but I will say like it was really neat to have those like little interaction bubbles come up. And especially like there was only a brief time where I had multiple hitchhikers in my car, but they would have conversations between each other too.
Uh-huh.
So it's just neat. It's like more of like a living, breathing kind of thing. You really feel like, oh yeah, I've got this guy with me. Kind of forgot about him, but he's still there. He's chatting me up.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
Yeah. Also, your own character. So the main character, while you're driving, there'll be times where you'll have an introspective thought.
Oh yeah.
And so then you'll just start thinking about like this one thing, or like, oh, my gas is getting kind of low. Why do I think about that? And just random stuff that kind of fills in the main character also, of like what they're thinking while they're driving, and what's going on with the hitchhikers. What's the driver thinking? So yeah.
Those introspection events were so funny.
Yeah.
Every time this came up, I was like, this isn't introspective. This is an intrusive thought.
I had one that was like, Grandpa recommended a book to me, and then my options were, I can't remember what it's called, or I probably won't read it anyways.
Well, and you had to be careful the way you answered those, because sometimes if you answered it in a certain way, it would have a negative effect.
Yeah.
And so I was always looking at it and I was like, okay, what is either going to be neutral or give me something good? And I would mess it up sometimes.
You could also gain traits from those, like traits that would affect your abilities and stuff. Thought that was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a great point too. Yeah, while you're driving, you get traits of your trip, so things can change along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
yeah.
Next we have world building. This is the last portion of our story and narrative section. I had a tough time rating world building. I'm looking at my rating and I gave it a 4, but I don't know if it actually, I think I'm going to move that down to a 3. Mostly because you do have this like world laid out. They've got all your cities. You look at your map. You have this whole road map of where you could go. But it's a pretty two-dimensional world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why I gave it a 4 when I was writing it down. I think I just really liked this game, to be honest. But to be fair, I think a 3 is more appropriate just because it is it's there. It's not the main focus of this game at all. So
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, definitely not the main focus. It's really about the relationships and just the drive and what you do on your trip and that kind of thing. So it's laid out there, but it's not really delved into. There's no, history or anything like that. So yeah, I think a 3 is good.
No, and I did appreciate that they did have a lot of like variety, like, oh, if you go on this route, there's just some gas stations. That's pretty much all that's going to be. But other ways, if you go, more to the south, there's a lot of like trees and like outdoor exploration areas. There's at least one area on the map that like the icon is just like a question mark. So you don't know what's there.
Oh,
that was intriguing to me.
I went there.
Yeah, I went to one of those places. I'll talk about that next episode probably.
Cool.
But I don't know. The world was pretty simple, but there was some stuff going on. But yeah, nothing that was like especially interesting. It was more like a backdrop for you to have these adventures, but I do appreciate some of the details that they included to let you tell those stories. But it's a 3 for me as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think that's fair. Moving into presentation, we're going to talk about graphics and sound design and music. So we'll start with graphics. I'm just going to say 4 right now because I think, as you have all noticed, if you've listened to all our episodes, these pixelated graphics are my jam.
Oh, yeah.
I love them. I love them so much. There's nothing really too special about them, but I don't know what it is. Give me graphics like this and I'll probably give it a 4 or higher every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was well done. I gave it a 4 as well. I thought the graphics were like really nostalgic, which was perfect for the theme.
Yeah.
And they did a good job like adding a lot of little details, like, just random people on the side of the road, stuff like that. When you're driving and the cars are passing you and it's not a U-Haul, it's an iCarry truck that's going by. And like, the mountains in the background, it's just so excellent. I will say though, there was a couple things with that pixel graphic that kind of made it hard for me to tell, like, what the hell is that? Or like specifically, you can keep items in your glove box that you can use like sort of in the events. And they sort of have a durability. And I don't know, can you see the durability going down on those?
Yeah.
Okay, I think you can, but I couldn't be certain because it was so hard to see.
If you hover over it in the top right corner,
oh my God,
it will say like 3 out of 5.
I'm so stupid. Thank you.
Or
You're
like
welcome.
for like the duct tape that I think you start with, or some people start with, it like gets smaller and smaller and smaller, then eventually it goes away.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't notice that.
Yeah. So if you want an exact like number, you can hover over it and it'll show you.
Okay.
Like the cigarettes too. As you use the cigarettes, you can see them. But yeah, graphically, it's impossible to see how close you are to 0 without hovering over.
That's
it.
funny because I noticed that for the food that it would say like 2, like 2 out of 3 remaining, but I didn't think about that for like the duct tape and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
Graphics. I'm still on graphics.
Oh, yep. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I forgot to. I would agree. I think 4 for the graphics. The graphics were really good, and ditto what you guys said, but also environmentally too. Like your environment changes and stuff. So there's rain and there's sun and there's different things, and the backgrounds are great. And so yeah, I would say ditto 4.
Cool.
Yeah.
And sound design and music. We talked about the artists a little bit, but there's also. Were you about to say fucking werewolf acid again?
Yeah. No, I was gonna say 5. But yeah.
Fucking 5.
No, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
no,
off.
I was just gonna say there's also a lot of sound design going on top of the music. So, Shawn,
5, 100%. Like the music was great, and like I think in the very beginning, when I started my road trip, they start you off with this song. And right off the bat, I'm like, oh, this feels like road trip vibes. Like, I'm like here, like I feel it. And like you start driving, it's like, oh, this is so good. So yeah, 5. Amazing. Just made you feel like you're on a road trip. And it's so good. So yeah.
Yeah, 5 for me as well for the same reasons. Like the music was excellent, put you in the mood. Even when you're like, your default CD player only plays 6 songs at a time.
Yeah.
So like the songs run out, you have to reload them. But even when it's quiet, it's like, sounds like you're on the road. It's just very like kind of relaxing. And I also like during different road events, like different noises would happen or different like terrain that you're driving over would sound differently too.
Mhm.
So I appreciated that a lot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they were very thoughtful, I think, and careful with their sound.
Yeah.
They did a good job.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also gave it a 5. Loved the music, loved the sound design, and it just it hit perfect. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I would say that this is one of the truest 5s that I've given to sound design and music. So
Yeah.
I tend to do it a lot just because I think I'm a sucker for the sound design and music if it's
Sure.
good at all.
Hey,
But
the last
this
few
one,
have been good though.
this
Yeah.
one is very good. And we're gonna move to gameplay. Here we're gonna talk about content variety and mechanics, and we'll start with content variety. This one was tough for me because it is kind of a repetitive game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it definitely can be. I do agree. Yeah, there's definitely you'll hit some of the same road events and that kind of thing. You know, when you go to a town, you go to a store, it's kind of similar to the other stores that you were at before. But I would counter it with the different routes that you can take. There's so many different roads, and each road is different. You can go on a motorway or country road or a rough road. There's plenty of different things. The hitchhikers that you pick up is all random, so it's all who you pick up, and that generates a different outcome. So I think I would go with a 4, I think, for variety. I think there's quite a bit, including like what you want to do to your car, because you can upgrade your car and those kinds of things. So yeah, I'd say 4. I think there's a lot of variety within it, even though it's similar gameplay.
Yeah.
This is tough. I agree for the same reasons. I think I'm going to give it a 5 because there's so much. Like while you were talking, Shawn, I was counting because I wrote down every different road event that I got.
Oh, cool.
Man.
Which I experienced 28 different ones.
Yeah.
Which was pretty fun. And I mean, what you're doing in those road events is pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
But it just added that variety. And every time a new one came up, I was like, oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
You know, like rough terrain, roadkill, fallen trees, majestic falcon
Yeah.
was one of them that I got.
That's such a good one.
That's just from one page of my notes here. But and like on top of that, though, you do have like your different character traits, your different like skills that you unlock, how those interact with each other. There's so many different upgrades you can get for your car, and you really got to think like, oh, do I want this kind of tires or those kind of tires?
Yeah.
Or maybe I want to use some of my inventory space to keep an extra set of tires and a jack so I can change it for different situations. So you can get pretty deep with your variety, as well as just like different routes to take, different hitchhikers, like you've played 4 different playthroughs, and I'm sure you're still seeing new things.
Oh yeah, on my last playthrough, well, we don't count my last playthrough because I literally played for like 5 minutes before getting my ending. We'll talk about it next week.
Interesting.
But yeah, I'll tell you exactly which ending I went for because it's fairly easy to get this ending. But yeah, I was still, and depending on the status of your character and where you are, you will get different road events. So there was a certain road event I would only get if I had been drinking and was driving.
Oh no.
Did you guys drink and drive at all?
No.
I'll tell you guys about the mechanics of
Thanks
that.
for doing that for us.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
appreciate it.
You're welcome. Because the mechanics of that do get really intense.
Okay.
Or not, I don't know. I was stressed. But we'll talk about it. I guess we can talk about it in the mechanics section when we get into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I gave this a 4. Even though it was repetitive, I think I just wish I could have played it on my Steam Deck and been able to play it while doing something else.
Yeah.
Because after, my first playthrough, I was happy to sit on my computer and just like really dive into it. But after that, I kind of just wanted to play it and then also like watch a TV show because it is so, it's pretty easy to just zone out and play it and still be able to thoroughly enjoy the game.
Yeah.
So I'm giving it a 4, but they did such a great job with how repetitive the mechanics of the game are. There were so many, and there were times when you were in like a little city that you could go explore like the forest or the alleyway. And so it was just like an extra little thing that you could do outside of the vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say like, even though like, I definitely agree when you're playing this game and you're going these like, oh, like another road event, like, and they're basically like kind of like battles that you're doing. They do really start to feel repetitive.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like every time I'm at a destination, I'm like, maybe I'll just go one more, you know, like
Yeah.
I just want to go just one more stop. Let's just go to the next place and just see. But But that being said, like I think the reason that I only played this game for 4 hours, and kind of wrapped up my game of it is because when I wasn't playing, part of it, like I wasn't really like sucked back in, but then when I did sit down, I was going, like I wanted to keep playing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I definitely felt that way too, and that definitely happened where I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop, and then I'm like, okay, one more, let's just go one more time, and then like 45 minutes later, I'm like, okay, I really gotta go to bed. Like, I've done it like 8 times now. Like,
yeah. Well, cool. Lastly, in gameplay, we're gonna talk about mechanics. I gave mechanics a 5. I just thought everything worked really well. And then I guess we can talk about the mechanics of the actual game. We really haven't dove into how this game works. So throughout the game, you have these abilities that you can unlock by gaining experience as you drive. And these abilities will hang from your rear view mirror. And each one does like a different thing. And as you're driving, because it's kind of hard to explain, as you're driving, when you have a road event, there will be certain, I don't know,
icons or
each icon relates to a different aspect of your car. So a gas icon will show up. A blue circle has to do with the durability of your vehicle. A person has to do with your energy, and a
money symbol is your currency.
And so these icons will show up in a certain order, and they'll have like additional icons on top, like an exclamation point, and that will tell you, okay, if you don't get rid of this in this round, you'll take damage at that category. So with your abilities, the abilities will have, I don't know, like a green, a star, and an orange symbol. So you know that you want to pull that ability down and line it up with something matching that. It's so hard to explain without having a visual. I'm sure that Rylan is going to create a great TikTok of me doing a terrible job describing this. So check our TikTok.
I would not.
No, I was going to say that you'll put the visual to it, so it'll actually make sense. No, you won't. I'm doing a terrible job explaining it, but maybe Rylan will make a TikTok that visualizes what this looks like. So if you're curious, you can also just go look at the game, at the trailer or something like that.
No, go to our TikTok.
Yeah, go to our TikTok though. It's a good time.
Let me be your GG.
Let me be your game guy.
Oh, thank you. Dang it. Go to our TikTok, not that one.
But yeah, so that's like the main mechanic of this game. And what I wanted to talk about with when you're drunk driving. So the whole screen starts to tilt back and forth. So it's like rocking back and forth, which is a little disorienting. And then you have, all of a sudden you have timers for making decisions on what abilities to use. And so, and the timer's not forgiving at all. It's quick. You have to make like very quick decisions.
So stressful.
And then every time I would drink and drive, I would get pulled over by the cops.
Dang.
When the police officer pulls you over, you get like 10 different
the
icons.
Whole bar is
like the
full.
whole bar is full, and every single one of them will cause damage.
Oh no.
So like you're taking damage unless you're like pretty high level.
Yeah.
So I did drink and drive at a very high level with a lot of hitchhikers in my car.
You're saying it's okay to do that if you...
As long as you have friends.
Were you day drinking or was it at night? Because that depends.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
And it was part of a side quest, and that's why I did it.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it next week, what the side quest was. But I was able to get away from the police officer. I took a lot of damage, but I did it. And then to get a certain ending, this morning I played it, and then I didn't have any hitchhikers in my car. I had just started the game, so I lost pretty quickly.
No.
Oh, sure.
But yeah, so that was just like an added mechanic that I thought was really interesting, and added a lot of tension to the game.
Yeah, I was scared to do that. I did not.
When you drink and drive, it does give you the happy ability.
Oh God.
And so
That's a good ability.
You are drunk,
Yeah.
but the happy ability gives you, so if you get like perfect, like you line up the colors of the icons with your abilities perfectly. You do that once on your first try, it'll give you an extra turn. And then if you do it again, if you have that happy ability, you'll get a happy turn. And so you can get 3 turns.
Which is pretty strong.
Yes.
Yeah, one of my hitchhikers had the ability that if you used one of his abilities, you would get happy. But it
Oh,
was three
man.
X's, so it was just XXX, and it's like, oh, well, that's cool. I'll use it sometimes. So
But it didn't get rid of any
yeah, I
of
didn't get
the-
rid of anything, so
Yeah.
it had to be like a safe time to use it. But that was handy.
Did you guys ever get the sad status?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Me too.
I got
That
that from
sucked.
one of my introspections.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember what it was. But yeah, I also did a side quest that after I finished it, I got an item that when I used that, I would be happy
Oh, that's
Oh.
cool.
without being
Cool.
drunk. Yeah. So we'll talk about that next week too.
You can be happy without being drunk.
Yeah. It's
Find out
crazy.
next week.
Yeah.
Let me be your game guide.
Ow! Oh man. Did you guys have I gave mechanics a 5 and I just talked for like a million years. But there is more to talk about if you guys
I would also say 5. Like the game, I didn't have any issues with it, and the mechanics within the game, like how you're playing it and how you're using your abilities and upgrades and all that stuff, really melded really well together for the gameplay that you're doing. So on the road trip, it really fit well with that. So yeah, I'd say 5. And ditto, like it was really good.
Yeah, I'm saying a 4. I felt like it was really solid, but it did like start to feel repetitive in that it wasn't. I mean, it was repetitive, but also it wasn't like especially exciting. Like there's definitely games that are repetitive, but I'm just like having a great time with that.
Yeah.
This one, I felt like I'm just kind of going through the motions at some point. So they
Yeah.
were solid,
Yeah.
but not like exciting for me.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's why I am really excited for this to have controller
Yeah.
compatibility, because then I could just sit on the couch and play it while I watched a TV show and not have to be like that be my only focus, because on those times that it is like 3 road events one after the other and you're just kind of like going through the motions, then I have something to kind of also pay attention to.
Yeah.
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 I
Good
think
point.
that's a good call. Like once the novelty of your first few hours wears off, you're like discovering so much and you kind of shift towards like more objective based and you're like, okay, I'm trying to get there. I got 4 stops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you kind of want to just take a back seat to paying so much attention.
Yeah.
Yep.
Back
Sweet.
seat. That's
Cool.
a car pun.
I was gonna ignore it. No, I'm just kidding. That was good. It went over my head, if I'm being honest. I didn't catch it.
We could have put so many car puns in this episode.
Oh, we really could have.
Should have thought about that. sooner.
Anyways,
Yeah.
thanks for listening. No, I'm just kidding. We do still have one thing we need to talk about before giving our final rating, and that is the value of this game. As a reminder, when it's on full price, it's $17.99. Do you think this game is worth the value?
I'd pay $20.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah, I did not play nearly enough of it. I want to do more.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth it.
That's
Oh.
where I'm at too. Like I could easily do a number of runs still
Yeah.
and have new experiences each time. So yeah.
Yeah, totally. I loved this game.
It's good stuff.
$17.99. It's like the sweet spot of game prices for me. There isn't a lot of games that I wouldn't pay $17 for, unless it's like a really short indie game. But I think that they priced it perfectly. And you're right, I probably would have paid $20 for this.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's get into our final ratings. I don't know about you guys, but typically my final ratings don't usually match up with my all my other ratings, because I try to be a little more critical and honest to the categories. But then my final rating is just legitimately how I liked it. So
Yeah.
what did you guys think of this game? What's your final rating?
4.2.
Ooh,
It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would recommend it.
I was actually also landing on 4.2. So yeah.
Whoa.
Like that was in my head.
Whoa.
So
Wow.
yeah.
Sweet. I give it a 4.5.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
Sorry.
good. No, it's okay.
Yeah, I loved this game. I'm happy that we all ended in the 4s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's been a while since we've all been.
On the same
Have
page
we
this
all
high.
been on
Yeah.
the 4s?
I don't
Before?
know. I have no idea.
I
I'll
don't
have to go
know.
back.
Yeah, we'll have to look.
We'll have to look. But
Yeah. This was a really good pick, Shawn.
Yeah.
this was a great pick.
This was
and
a fun one.
It just came out. So for a game that's released so recently to be so put together and enjoyable, and I mean, they did a great job
Yeah.
making something that's so repetitive also so interesting. And so I can't wait to see what happens with this game moving forward.
Yeah.
Really excited to see possibly any DLCs that they might have.
Yeah.
Well, I know they have plans for updates. Like controller support is
Sure.
coming, I think, in the next month or so.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm assuming like maybe a console release, maybe
Yeah.
if they're adding controller support. So.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this concludes the rating episode for Keep Driving. Please join us next week for the discussion episode as we dive into the details of this game and all its hidden gems. If you haven't played the game yet and it sounds like something you may be interested in, I hope you find time to play it before tuning in next week. Please go and give the podcast a follow, rate it, review it, however you want to show us love. You can email us with any comments, questions, or constructive criticism at letmebeyourgg@gmail.com. You can also send us game requests if there's something you'd like us to review. Just make sure you include game request in the subject line so it's easy for us to find. You can find us on most socials as Let Me Be Your GG. That's LetMeBeyourGG with no spaces. And we're on Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. And you can find our TikTok at Let Me Be Your Game Guide with no spaces. Our Patreon can be found at patreon.com/letmebeyourgg. Thank you so much for listening. We can't wait to see you next week. And thank you so much for letting me be your game guide. GG, y'all.
Bye.